There's always something so nostalgic when I do these distressing or antiquing looks on tumblers. I don't know what it is about it. But it's easy, it's fun, and boy, does it have a lot of personality. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's wake up, prep these tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. Now I'm going to go ahead and glitter up a tumbler for myself here, but if you guys happen to have tumblers sitting up on your shelf and you just don't know what to do with it, it could be a single color, it could be, a practice tumbler that you were doing ombres on, it could be anything of the sort like that. This would be an amazing time to go ahead and use that tumbler to do this look over top. Or you could go ahead and glitter up a tumbler like I'm doing here. So I went ahead and I prepped and I primed my tumbler. I spray painted it. It is called Prickly Pear by Rustoleum. And I'm going to go ahead and lay down my glitter of my choice over top. This is called Adore. And you can purchase the glitters that I use today at socglitters.com if you would like to. And as you've seen, I'm using glitter glue today to adhere my glitters down to my tumbler base, but you could use the epoxy method if you would like to. But whether you use glitter glue or you use epoxy, make sure you push everything back off the rim there. It just makes it easier once we go to start epoxying over top of our raw glitter. Then I'll go ahead and set that off to the side to dry. And before I add my epoxy over top, I swept all the loose glitter off with my chip brush there. That just helps out. So that way, if there's a lot of loose glitter, then it might give it kind of that slick look. So I just brush it off, just in case. So now I'm gonna go ahead and apply about 20 milliliters of epoxy over top of our raw glitter. For this particular look, I don't want it super lumpy when I go to spray paint over top of it, but I also don't want it too slick. I do still want a little bit of lumps happening. So about 20 milliliters over the top of this was about perfect for me because I still like a little bit of roughness to really add to the antiquing. And of course, after I get that applied, I'll place that onto my turner. I'll hit it up really good with my torch. I'm gonna let that cure, and then we're ready to move on to the next step. She is all cured. Again, not too slick, but not too lumpy. You'll kind of be able to see those lumps a little bit more once I spray paint. I am going to be doubling up my colors today. So one of the colors is going to be Modern Mint. That's going to be the main color over top. But the one that's going to be underneath and really give it kind of just that extra to it is going to be this gold metallic spray paint. Not a lot of things really hold that shine under epoxy. I noticed some acrylic markers and stuff don't really hold that shine once you put that epoxy over top, but this stuff really holds that nice, bright, vibrant gold that we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one coat, just one coat of the gold. And then after that, you just wanna make sure that you let it dry completely. And after that has dried completely, you're going to come through with your main color. In my case, again, this is that Modern Mint. And again, just one coating of the spray paint over top of this. It's going to help out when we go to do the distressing. And it also doesn't matter if it's completely perfect because again, we're going to be rubbing half of it away anyways. And of course, you just want to let that dry completely as well before we move on to the next step. Now for the fun stuff. So we will need 100% acetone and we will also need 91% isopropyl alcohol, which I'll go over a little bit more in detail as to why we need the two. Now I use the rubbing alcohol quite often in my shop. It's one of my main things that I use almost every single day. So I actually keep it in a spray bottle just so I can randomly use it when I need to. So working with your 100% acetone, you want to go ahead and just put some of that onto a paper towel. You don't want it sopping wet, but you definitely want a bit more on there so that way it will easily wipe that paint away. And I like to work around the bottom rim first because it's kind of the bumpiest. So I just kind of work with that first just to kind of visually see where I want to keep going with the rest of my distressing. So I'm going to start there. And as you see, it's kind of pulling back away that paint while still leaving a little bit of that gold intact as well on that second layer. And also, I just want you guys to keep in mind that as you get going, you don't have to fully get the extra paint off as you go. We'll worry about that later on when we go to tidy everything up with our rubbing alcohol. So just get those lines going that you want to get going, and then we'll clean it up later. So after I get the bottom all cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my handle. I'm pretty much just working with all the kind of extremities first. So the upper rim, the lower rim area, and the handle. And then we will come through and work on that main base. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up those areas first. So typically when I do my distressing, I'll work in a vertical pattern first. So I'll do my lines up and, top to bottom and then kind of work out from there. But this one I wanted to do a little bit different. So we're going to do horizontal lines first and then come back through and kind of do our vertical lines to kind of bloom off of those lines. So as I go, as you've seen there, I kind of flip my paper towel around to another clean spot. You want to try to keep it clean. If it starts to get a little too gunked up, that's probably time to go ahead and move on to a cleaner area of your paper towel or a new paper towel altogether. I'm also still working with my 100% acetone, so we are still working with that. I'll let you guys know when we start using the rubbing alcohol. So that first line I made, I pressed my rag down pretty hard on the surface to expose all the way down to the glitter. The second one I'm doing, I'm not pushing as hard. I'm just very kind of medium pressure onto it to only get down to the gold. So that's how you guys get those different layers of looks. It's all in the pressure, how much pressure you apply to your rag as you're rubbing. And just like that bumpy bottom rim, I'm utilizing any little bumps that are on the main base itself to kind of enhance, again, that antiquing and distressing look. So I'll just kind of run my rag over that until just a little bit of those bumps are exposed. Again, just adding to this whole look. So as I get going, I'm going to be doing gaps, like little gaps in between each lines. I'm going to be doing some kind of like bigger gaps in between each line. It's all in where your imagination takes you with this. So again, just working from top to bottom, doing these horizontal lines. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up all the way around. And this is how she is looking so far. This is pretty cool too. You could almost kind of leave it like this. It almost looks like a birch tree in a way. Pretty neat, but I wanted to go ahead and continue forward, of course. So now taking another clean paper towel and a bit more of my acetone, we are going to be working vertically right off of our horizontal lines. So as I get going, I'm just trying to focus on widening up those lines a bit while trying to kind of connect everything together in a way. So I don't want too big of lines connecting everything together. I want kind of thinner lines, wider lines. Again, you just want it to look as natural as possible with the antiquing or distressing. And you also want to try to remember not to overwork an area. And what I mean by overworking is once you get kind of a shape of an area that you like, just stop. You don't need to do anything else with it. You want to move on to a new area, and then you can always come back and kind of zhuzh things around if you need to, but you just don't want to accidentally rub away too much whenever you didn't want to. So now I'm just going to let you guys kind of watch me work here for a minute, so maybe a little bit more of a visual can help you out if need be. Whether you do a lot of distressing or you do a little bit of distressing, it is completely up to you because there is no right or wrong when it comes to making art. But for me, I say the more, the better. So now that is all done, and now we're going to come through with our rubbing alcohol, and we are going to clean up all those areas, making that glitter really stand out and that gold really shine. Another reason why I like the spritz bottle is because when I go to do this part, this is pretty much all you need is just a couple spritzes of that right onto a clean paper towel. And then you just take it and you just rub it right over the area that you need to clean up. And it just really just gives that extra shine. You can see a difference. There's a little bit of a haze on it, as you can see. But once you go to start wiping everything away, it just very, very gently removes everything off the surfaces that you don't want it to be on. And it actually even exposes a bit more of that gold as well around the edges of everything. But you mainly want to focus on the areas you're trying to tidy up. So I'm just focusing with my fingers right where the exposed glitter is. Then I come through and kind of rub down into the painted areas, taking away any kind of over smudges that might have been on there. Again, this will kind of pull some of that top paint away, exposing a bit more of that gold. So you don't want to rub it all the way down to the glitter per se. We're just cleaning up. So I do this twice. So now that I went around one time, I'm going to go ahead and flip to a clean area of my paper towel, and I'm going to do this a second time. This time is going to be a little bit more tight. So you see there, I have it a little bit tighter in my fingers. And now this is where I'm going to really fine tune that kind of cleaning up and making sure that no haze is left behind on that glitter. So again, for a little bit more of a visual, I'm just going to let you watch me work here for a second, and then we'll move on to the next part. All right, you guys are doing amazing. Your tumbler is absolutely gorgeous. So now we're ready for a coat of epoxy over top of everything. You can either use your binding potion, which is a non-aerosol spray sealer, or use your sealer, whichever one you guys have on hand. Go ahead and use that. Now I have my epoxy here, and I wanted to add just a little bit more of a touch. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glitter into it. This is called Bauble, and you can purchase that at socglitters.com if you would like to. So I'm just going to add just a small amount. You don't need too much of this. This is about 15 milliliters of epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and give that a good stir. And to make sure that the little dots are uniform around the surface of the tumbler where it doesn't look more sparse in one area versus another, I tend to work in sections. So I'll do a 1 to 2 inch section at a time, and I won't push that very far away from each other. And this really makes sure that it doesn't look too sparse around the entire surface. I'll get it onto my turner, head it up with my torch, and then I'm going to let that cure before we move on to the next step. Now here it is after it is cured, and we're ready to apply our decal. Now you want a pretty smooth surface for your decal because we're going to be using a clear cast decal. I purchased this right from 311 Co. I thought that it was so cute. I got a couple other ones too, but she has some really cute decals there, and I hope you guys go and check her out. So with this one, you can put this on darker surfaces, so you can pretty much put this on any kind of surface you would like. So I thought it would go well with what we have going on. But with these clear cast decals, you want to kind of trim away the extra from around the outside is what I like to do. This just really helps out when you go to epoxy over top of everything. It really makes sure that it all kind of just blends away once that epoxy goes over top. Then you just want to very carefully peel away a bit of that backing from the decal itself, and you want to go ahead and just snip that part away so it's not in your way. Then you'll just place down that exposed decal. Then what I like to do is just go ahead and burnish down a bit of that top portion, and then I just go ahead and remove the backing completely so that way I can continue to burnish everything down. It just makes it a little bit easier. You just want to make sure that you don't touch the underside of these decals so you don't get fingerprints underneath. So to make sure I don't get wrinkles in my decal, all I did was push straight down the center of the decal, and now I'm just going to work my way out each side until everything is firmly pressed down. If you accidentally get a little bubble underneath, you'll be able to tell because it will kind of have this milky look to it, like it's not pressed down all the way. You definitely can tell a difference. You just take something very pointy here. I'm just using my weeding tool. I'm going to press down over top of those bubbles, and then I'll just use my finger to very gently push down the decal, getting that air out from underneath. But after that, all that's left to do is add your final finishing coats, and she is good to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.